Hello, everyone. Today's presentation will be about Google Read and Write and how we can use this assistive technology tool to support our special needs and English language learning students here at MPA. Though Google Read and Write offers tools that are helpful in both reading and writing, we're going to focus more on the reading tools since there are more reading focused IEP goals at our school. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So, first of all, what is Google Read and Write? So Google Read and Write is an extension that can be found in the Chrome Web Store and can be used on the Chrome operating system. Because 100% of our students use Chromebooks, all students are able to download Google Read and Write to their toolbars. Once downloaded, Google Read and Write serves as both a reading and writing support for students. Students can use Google Read and Write as a reading support by using built-in tools such as text-to-speech, word dictionaries, and picture dictionaries. Google Read and Write can also be used as a writing support by using built-in tools such as word prediction and voice dictation. We have many students at our school with reading and writing goals, but for the purpose of this presentation, we're going to focus mainly on how students with reading goals can best utilize this assistive technology tool. In case you haven't used Google Read Write before or haven't seen it in action, let me give you a quick demo. So I'm going to exit this presentation and I'm actually going to go to the rubric for my assignment that talks about AT tools. So, a student who has Google Read Write will have a toolbar at the top as seen up here. Now, as mentioned before, we have both reading and writing supports, but we're going to go over the reading tools, namely the text-to-speech, dictionary, highlighting, and screen masking. So let's do text-to-speech first. Let's say I have a student who's having a hard time reading this first paragraph. What they're trained to do is to highlight the text as such, and then, with headphones plugged in, once they have the text highlighted, they can press the play button.
Select one of the tools you discovered while completing the tools inventory sheet for the Try Something New assignment you submitted for week 4. Create an 8-10 slide teacher interface presentation as if you were training your staff on how to utilize this tool in the classroom. Use the Assistive Technology Interface form, see next page, as a guide for what to include in your presentation. Consider the following elements as well.
In addition to having the stop and play function, students also have the pause function. This is especially valuable to students who have processing or learning disabilities. When students fall a little behind, they're able to pause the presentation and go back and re-highlight and replay the text. This way, if they missed anything, they have the option and they have the they have the ability to control the pace of the reading. Now, let's say a student is unsure about what a word means. So let's say, for example, they weren't sure about what technology means. Students also have supports if they do not know what words mean. So if I highlight technology, a student can easily access their dictionary feature, which will tell them the definition of technology. In addition, they also have a picture dictionary that will give them a visual example of what technology is. As I'm looking at this document, I'm noticing that there's a lot of text. When students encounter a lot of text on a page, it can be intimidating. So in order to remedy that, there is also a screen mask function. When activated, the rest of the screen goes gray, but students are able to scroll through and kind of highlight the text that they want to focus on. This helps them really zone in on small chunks of text instead of being overwhelmed by the entire text. And last but not least, we do have highlighting options as well. Now at MPA, we know that teachers teach students to annotate using different colors. In order to support that skill, Google Readwrite provides 4 colors that students can use in order to highlight certain text in a document. Sorry. So let's go back to the presentation. The next part we want to cover is who does Google Read Write help support at MPA? Google Rewrite is most beneficial to two main groups of students at MPA: students with special needs and students who are English language learners. At MPA, 14% of students with special needs are visually impaired, and 86% of special needs students have specific learning disabilities. From 3rd to 5th grade, 62% of students are English language learners. Google Readwrite offers many tools that are beneficial to these student groups. For example, both special needs and English learners can use the text to speech function to have text read aloud to them. Students who use the text to speech function spend less time struggling with reading and more time listening and practicing comprehension skills based on what they heard. Students with learning disabilities can also control the text to speech function by pausing or rewinding if they need more time to process what they have heard, which is the opposite of what they're used to in class, where they may only hear something read aloud once, maybe twice, by their teacher. Students who are visually impaired can depend more on the auditory representation of text rather than visual, allowing them to engage with the text in a way that cannot be done in print. Students can also use the built in highlighting tools to help annotate and focus on important words or phrases that may otherwise be harder to find in a block of text. Another way students can engage more deeply with the text is by using the word and picture dictionary tools. This tool is especially helpful to English language learners who are still learning the meaning and visual representations of new English words. It can also be helpful to those with learning disabilities who learn more easily through visual examples, like the picture dictionary, instead of text examples. So, how does it help? How does Google Readwrite really help our students? So, first, we have the audible and visual representations. So, in the traditional classroom, students are either being read aloud to and have to track the text with their eyes, or they're being asked to read aloud as they track the text with their eyes. For students who are visually impaired or have learning disabilities, these tasks may be pretty difficult. As text is read aloud on Google Readwrite, students are able to listen to the text and follow the highlighted words as well. This helps students by keeping them on track with the text and keeping them from losing their place. Another way that Google Readwrite helps is giving students control over the pace. As an assistive technology tool, Google Readwrite gives students the power to control the pace of the reading. This helps students by allowing them more control of their learning and giving them the chance to rewind or pause as needed so they have more time to process and engage with the text. When I'm talking about Google Readwrite's ability to rewind, I actually do mean replay, so students are able to re-highlight and replay the text, sort of like a rewind. Google Readwrite also helps in reading comprehension because both the word and picture dictionary help students build their reading comprehension by giving textual and visual definitions of unfamiliar words. Google Readwrite also helps by giving students a chance to call attention to certain words or phrases. For example, the screen mask and highlighting features help students focus in on text so as not to get distracted by other texts. Students are also able to revisit important information that they had highlighted. Lastly, there is a translator tool, and the translator tool makes text more accessible to English language learners who would otherwise struggle with the unfamiliar English words. Next are some modifications. As I've worked with students with Google Readwrite, I've noticed that there aren't too many modifications that I would want to make to the program itself. Some external features that I would like to control are the headphones versus speakers and computer mice versus trackpad. For headphones versus speakers, students who use Google Readwrite should be provided headphones instead of using their Chromebook speakers. This allows for more focused listening time for the student using Google Readwrite and less distractions for others around them. Computer mice versus trackpad. Younger students who use Google Readwrite should be provided a computer mouse if they have difficulty using the trackpad when highlighting words or strings of text. Lastly, the only computer program modification that I would make to Google Readwrite is its accessibility on all programs. For example, the Google Readwrite's text-to-speech function works on our students' TutorWorks program, and I will talk about TutorWorks later on in this presentation. Its highlighting and dictionary features do not. These tools in particular would be helpful on this reading program since TutorWorks is mainly used to help build student reading comprehension. Some pros of Google Rewrite is that 100% of our students use Chromebooks at our school. Because Google Readwrite is a Google app, it will be used and can be used on all Google Chromebooks. As shown before in the demo, we noticed that Google Readwrite is easy to use for myself and has been used by students as young as kindergarten. Google Readwrite, as mentioned before, has many tools that support reading comprehension and reading itself. And last but not least, using the text-to-speech voice helps students who have SBAC text-to-speech accommodations get used to computerized voices, which they have not been able to do before. Some cons of Google Readwrite is that, as mentioned before, it may not work on all programs. As you noticed earlier in the demo, I had some trouble highlighting some of the text. This is because my internet may have glitched in and out, which leads to another con of Google Readwrite, that it does need internet connection to work. Once in a while, we have found that Google Readwrite needs to be re-downloaded from a Google admin account. Students do not have access to this account, so if they were to use Google Readwrite in their classes, if Google Readwrite needs an update or needs to be re-downloaded, students will not be able to use the program until an admin had updated or downloaded the program for them. Google Readwrite is currently being used by 6 students who are enrolled in the TutorWorks program. TutorWorks is an after-school program where students read and watch lessons on a computer. These lessons are based on various Common Core standards. After reviewing the lesson, students then answer practice questions in a format similar to that of the SBAC, where they read a long passage and answer related questions on the split screen. Since many of our special needs students will receive the text-to-speech accommodations on the SBAC, they use the text-to-speech function on Google Readwrite to 1. Listen to the text being read aloud to them, 2. Get used to listening to computerized voices, and 3. Practice answering reading comprehension questions after listening to the text. Unfortunately, the TutorWorks program only allows for the text-to-speech feature to be used. Other features are disabled. Since our 6 students started working on Google Readwrite and TutorWorks, we have definitely seen some progress. For reading comprehension, since the text is read aloud to students, they can spend more time thinking about the text instead of struggling with reading. Students who use Google Readwrite from September 2018 to September 2018 to December 2018 grew in grade level reading comprehension skills by 8%, as measured by their beginning of year assessment and mid year assessment. We also found that there was increased comfort in listening to the computer. When students first started using Google Read and Write, some of them said that they didn't like listening to the computerized voice and wanted teachers to read the text aloud to them simply because the voice was unfamiliar and a little weird to them. We encouraged students to try the voices in small increments, 5 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time, 15 minutes at a time, and so on and so forth, until they were able to listen to the text to speech voice for the entire session. We acknowledge that the voice took some getting used to, but eventually students started to enjoy it. Lastly, students were able to demonstrate an ability to control pace of reading. They were able to show us that they could rewind and or pause the text to speech feature when they needed more time to process what was read to them and listen to the text again. Many of these students stated that they liked this feature the best because they felt it was the one time they can control the pace, whereas in class they felt they were always falling behind, even when a teacher repeated what they had said. If we were to bring Google Read Write to all MPA students, it would be an easy feat. First of all, Google Read Write is available on the Chrome Web Store, and using a Google admin account, which I and a few other teachers have access to, we will be able to download Google Read Write to all MPA students. Google Read Write is free for all teachers and students, so there is no cost and uh, no need to fill in a purchasing order. And so that is it. So when we were talking about Google Read Write, the best way that we want to use this first, especially in our pilot year, is to support the reading goals. Later down the year, we will be able to use writing tools to support our few students who have writing goals. But for now, if you have any questions or concerns, let me know at my email address, joanella.mendoza@ousd.org, or feel free to stop by and chat so we can talk about the best way to support all our students. Thank you.